Hi everyone. So I'm live here today to talk about yoga for scoliosis and also yoga for spinal fusion because that is what we're going to talk about today. Let me see if I can add two to go into the video and to start our talk. There she is.
Hey.
Yay, great to see you again.
Same here. Great to see you.
Yeah. Yes. So we're both yoga for scoliosis teachers. Hi, Nikina. How are you? Thank you for watching. That's a friend of mine.
Hi.
And yeah, we're both yoga for scoliosis teachers, and we actually know each other for quite a long time already, right?
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy that and how did we met?
How we met? Yeah, we met
Yeah.
here on Instagram. I don't really remember who texted who first, but we were both in the beginning of our yoga journey, I believe.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we both weren't yoga for scoliosis teachers yet when we started. And I just have the scoliosis, and you had the spinal fusion.
Yeah, I just been through the spinal fusion, I believe.
In what year was that?
I had my fusion in 2013, so I don't know if it was 2014 or 15 that we started talking.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that I started Instagram I think before 2014 already, but I started the yoga in 2014 because that was also the year that I got a lot of pain,
Mhm.
and I was really looking for people that were trying to be like positive and work through it in their own way. And one way was yoga for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's somehow how we found each other. I have no clue. I don't remember how anymore or what post. And yeah, we talked about that yesterday. We're also not able to find it back, right?
Yeah, exactly. I had a different account back then also, so which doesn't exist anymore.
No, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Yeah, because that's interesting how we've grown since then, right?
Sorry, it's interesting.
How we've grown since then.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember you were in a lot of pain back then. You talked about it a lot. Yeah, we shared about how we wanted to teach yoga for scoliosis and help other people.
Hmm. Yeah, but at that time we were still helping ourselves, right? We still
Yeah,
needed to
yes.
help ourselves a lot.
Yes, and each other, I believe.
Yeah. And then now about like over 5 years later, we are the yoga for scoliosis teachers.
Yeah.
And we teach yoga for scoliosis in general, but also for spinal fusion as well,
Hmm.
for the people that had the operation.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of people, there might be like questions as well about if there's a difference between the yoga for scoliosis and for spinal fusion, because we started the same, right? The yoga for scoliosis basis that we have is the same.
Yes, exactly. Because even if you had spinal fusion, it's not that you don't have scoliosis anymore. You still have scoliosis, and you can never be like the spine can't be straightened to 100%. You always have a little bit of curves left, although it's like it's fused that way now. So there will be some compression on one side, on the concave side, and some overextension on the other side. So we still need to work with that, although it's different because it's fused and we can't move it the same way. So one way to do that is to work with the breath to expand the concave side and yeah, still find alignment and engage the right places. Of course,
Yeah.
a complicated topic to talk about, the whole thing in a live like this. But
Yeah.
yes, there are some differences, but the basis is the same. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like the breath, like you mentioned, is super helpful. Because how I always sort of try to explain it is that you are giving yourself a massage to create more space from the inside out.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember.
Because some,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
So,
we're starting already. So
sorry.
go ahead. You were already talking. So
Oh, I think what I was trying to say is like sometimes we have like cramps in the back, for instance, or some certain areas that are harder to go to, and that with the breath you can create more space there. And then also make sure that there's more blood and oxygen going in that area so that the body can do better healing.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. So no, what I was saying or was going to say was just that we forgot to mention perhaps something interesting is that we actually went through uh, um, the yoga for scoliosis teacher training together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that was actually like the first time we met as well, which is
Yeah.
sort of crazy because, well, like I said, we met through Instagram about 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I think maybe you have other people on Instagram that you have connected with too, so maybe you recognize that you're like, oh, and then you sometimes tell them like, oh, we should meet, you know, but a lot of the times that doesn't happen because so I'm in the Netherlands and Alex is in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this yoga for scoliosis workshop to go through the training to become a yoga for scoliosis teacher in Athens, in Greece. And that's actually where we met.
Yes. Yes. It was really fun. Finally meet and go through that experience together. Oh,
Yes.
wasn't your first course for scoliosis? I remember you had already been to New York, right? Yeah.
Yes. I've done some workshops. Also in Berlin was my first, so in Germany was my first yoga for scoliosis workshop. Yeah, and then I went to New York a few times as well to do some workshops and classes there too. And then I really wanted to do the training. And what also for me is super valuable, of course, is to have Alex to know more, understand more how yoga for scoliosis works for people with spinal fusion.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I cannot imagine. But then I can ask you, like, what's it like for you, basically?
Yeah, no, it's I believe it's hard to understand the feeling and the restrictions unless you have spinal fusion. Um, yeah, because there are a few things you should avoid, of course, with spinal fusion. A few things, yeah, restrictions that you can't do. You can't bend whatever is fused. So you have to work around it differently, as we were saying, using the breath. And then it also depends on what level you're fused, because all the different levels of the spines are constructed or structured to work in different ways. What the parts that are meant to bend and the parts that are meant to twist, and there are parts of the spine that aren't really meant to twist. So if you are like fused the whole thoracic area, I would not suggest you do any deep twists. There are some gentle twists that you could do depending on your fusion, but should be careful there.
Yeah, because sometimes you still have that rotation in your upper back, even though you have been fused. So you can still work with that rotation, right, of the ribs.
Yeah, as I said, it depends on where you're fused. Like me, for example, I'm fused more or less up to here, like T4. So I can work a lot with my shoulders and I can twist a little bit here, but it's actually mostly just my shoulders. So when people see my videos perhaps, or yeah, the poses that I do that looks like I'm twisting, I'm not really twisting. I'm mostly just using my shoulders and faking it.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's what we talked about too, right? About Instagram and how you see certain postures and that you just want to be in a
Mm-hmm.
certain posture, while then maybe because of your back, that is not something that you want to achieve. So that you need a different approach, right?
Yeah, yeah, I get it's something I went through myself. I think that many people, even like with fusions, without fusions, with scoliosis, without scoliosis, go through this moment at the beginning of the yoga journey that they just see the pose and it's just, that looks so cool. I want to be able to do that. And when you have a fusion, you kind of get this feeling of, I can never do that. And in some cases, um, that's not true at all. But then again, it's so much more than that, yoga. Like what I wanted to come, the point I wanted to make was that I went through this feeling of regretting my surgery because I found yoga for scoliosis just a few months after my surgery. And I decided myself to go through surgery because I was in pain. The doctor said to me that I could decide to do it now or I could do it like in 15 or 20 years. And I said, okay, I want to do it now because I'm suffering. And right now I don't have anything to lose. I don't have any children. So let's do it. And then I found yoga for scoliosis. And I was like, maybe I could have healed this way instead. And I saw all those cool poses, like, you know, the wheel pose and some heads handstands, like some things I can actually do now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, but there are also things that I can do that are not like beneficial for you. Like I could do the wheel pose, but it's not the best pose for me to do because you should use the whole spine to round it or to arch it, which of course is not the case for me or for other people with spinal fusion. So
Yes, and I think that that's very inspiring about your account as well and about your journey is that you are really trying to find your boundaries and go past your limitations and, but without forcing them, right? So you, I feel like you try to respect your body and then see how far it can go and how you can carry your body so that you can slowly make some steps and create more flexibility and strength.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and that's something that's important to find that balance between this flexibility and strength. Because if
mhm.
you do the flexibility part, you don't have any, you're not stable in your joints.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, but in 2016, that's why I took like a pause between my first teacher training and actually starting to teach yoga because I went through my first teacher training in 2015. But didn't start to teach until 2016 because I had um, this phase or this period of my life of a few months that I was just in so much pain in my low back and I couldn't understand why. I went
Mhm.
to see my surgeon, went to do my x-rays and um, how do you say that? Or MR scans, like,
Am I right?
yeah,
Like,
um, to
yeah.
understand if there was something going on. But no, actually, at the end, I just found out that I had not been activating my core enough. I was lacking core strength. That's why, and I found out because I was taking a break from yoga. I was trying everything. Like I was trying to increase yoga, then I stopped doing yoga for a few months, and nothing really worked. It was just getting worse. And I found this course, online course from, I don't know if you know her, Nady Sardini. No,
Mhm.
Sadie. Sorry, I tend to do that. Sadie Nardini. She's pretty well known in the States, I believe. Yoga teacher. She works a lot with the core, and she has started this whole kind of line of yoga that's called core strength vinyasa. And I took an online course with her um, about that, and I was just doing the theory at the beginning. And then I was just, okay, let's try to do this. Like I'm doing it really, really slowly, really carefully, and in like 2 weeks, the pain was gone like that.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
yeah, so
That's amazing. That I think that's very true. That once you start to understand or become like super precise about what the body needs, then you can help it the best and the quickest, I feel like, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The balance, I think that's something that you really have to find for yourself, because it's not the same for everyone. That's
No.
always who starts at one end, who starts at the other end, who's already in the middle, who's got too much flexibility, and who's too tense and need to work more with flexibility.
True. Yeah, it's not like that someone can tell you for like, okay, just do this pose or these three poses the rest of your life and you're good, because that's not, unfortunately, not how it works. I think we both discovered that and went through certain pains in order to understand that and learn to respect our body more and to start listening to it. Um, yeah, and I think that's really awesome that we both took those signals of the body to grow, and to
Yeah,
also that we are both trying to help others with the knowledge that we gained as well.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then sometimes as a teacher, you can only just give them the tools, and then it's up to them to explore again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And every student is different.
Yeah, exactly. And not only physical, but also like mentally, how you deal with your body, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's interesting as well, right? That combination of body and mind connection,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because I think we both had to overcome through like yoga philosophy and meditation give certain tools as well for us, and we had to overcome certain ways that we not only thought about our body but also in general, I think certain mental patterns, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's actually how I got into yoga. Was seeing, I was noticing myself having some thoughts, some behaviors that I didn't like about myself, and I just decided, okay, I want to become a better person, and somehow that just brought me to yoga. And so for a few months now, in May, it will have been, oh, it will be 6 years 6 years ago that I started yoga, but I didn't really do the physical practice until like July or August that year. So for the first months, it was just mental yoga, if we can say it like that, meditation and contemplation.
Yeah, I think that's how I started yoga as well. Or before I started with yoga, I also started with meditation as well,
Mm-hmm.
just to calm the mind. I noticed that I was always very sensitive for a lot of information coming my way, and that I found it sometimes hard to deal with that or to process that, and that I felt like, and because that was hard for me, I sort of sometimes, my behavior, um, or I got like super tired, for instance, or a little bit cranky, because everything got too much for me. And I think meditation helped me to understand a little bit more about um, what comes in, and what is yours and what is others, I guess, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And to start feeling a little bit more what your own mind needs and when it needs to rest. So not only the body that might need some rest, but the mind as well.
Yeah,
Um,
true, true. Let's talk a little bit about that, the resting part with the yoga, like back to the physical yoga for scoliosis and fusions. Um, I think that's something that is underestimated, the rest that we actually need, because we push ourselves so hard into doing, doing, doing. And That's true even for us with scoliosis and spinal fusion. But resting is such a big part of actually getting the benefits from when you are active.
So true, yeah. Actually, today, just before this live, I had a student, a private session, and at the beginning, she was really like, "Oh, what do I need to do?" And I was really like, "Okay, we're going to do some resting poses." And she was sort of like, "Why? But I need to do stuff." I was like, "No, you're going to do resting poses." And then now, after a few times, she was like, so today she was like, "Oh, I never expected that taking that rest, that would benefit me so much
Yeah.
to really, yeah."
And that's also why you need a teacher, right? Like, of course, maybe in some cases, in these cases, it's also like because the teacher maybe know better, has like an how do you say, education, but also,
Oh, I'm sorry, there's some sound here.
no worries.
Okay.
Also the fact that the teacher might see these things, like, well, your ego kind of gets in the way, like, I want to do something, so maybe you do something. But
Hmm.
need a rest, and the teacher might be there to actually tell you what you said to your student before earlier, that no, today we're gonna rest.
Yes. Yeah, and that I think in every class that we always begin with resting and end with resting, right?
Yeah, that's so true for me as well. Like, they're always grounding in the beginning. um yes, like, I am specialized in yoga for scoliosis, but I teach a lot of regular vinyasa too, and yin yoga, and meditation and yoga nidra. And I believe that meditation is actually like the core thing of everything, in my belief. So I always introduce meditation, especially at the end, like in shavasana or even seated meditations. But they're all also like, yeah, a big part of grounding in the beginning.
Yes. I think that's also because within yoga we acknowledge the nervous system and how that can affect your muscles and hold on to pain. Um, and then by resting, you calm the nervous system more so that um, like your pain patterns can loosen up a little bit more and that the body can start some healing. And then also, especially with yoga for scoliosis, a yoga session can be quite intense because you're going into new patterns for your body. And then afterwards, you really need a resting pose to calm the nervous system again and to integrate the new information in the body and to make sure that the body feels safe to integrate this new information.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I think also the coming time we're trying to work something out, and I think we already gave some nice, information about like the breath and resting and how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we were thinking about how we can share that more specific with you guys, right?
Yes, yes.
So just stay tuned here. And also, if you have any questions for us, they are very welcome. And we
Yes.
really want to know what you guys need as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, let us know if you have any questions, anything you want us to talk about another time, perhaps.
Yes, then that's always possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we end this.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this live.
Bye.